Hey, welcome to another edition of In the Pit of Your Stomach podcast. This is Bruce McGee from First Note Production Studios here as I'm sitting here in my wife's still her craft room, and you can see that she's been doing some nice little fall wreaths back there, and she's a very, very crafty girl. I love her to death, and she's busy helping me out by letting me use her room as my studio as the new AJM studios are being built just next door to me in my old son's room. So just bear with us until we actually get a real studio with a real background and everything, and we'll be rocking and rolling. But today I've got a real special podcast that I've been aching to do for a long time. I wanted to do this on the Weather Soul podcast and Bruce for Liberty podcast, but why not do it in the Pit of Your Stomach podcast? And that's what I'm doing today. And today is what I want to do is I actually just want to get you debt free. And the thing that I really have a passion for helping people out and making sure that they're on the right path, not only in their health and wellness, but also in their financial situations. I want to make sure that everything is going good for you guys, and that everything is cool with you. So the chat room is open right now for anything that you guys want to say. I will try to get to your comments and questions if I can. That'd be great if I can. If I can't, I've got a lot of things to do. I'm a solo guy here, so I'm doing the multimedia, I'm doing the chatting and everything. So if I can get to your comments and everything, I will. But I just want to let you know that the chat group is open. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to use a question. I'll try to get them by the end of the podcast, and we can go forward with this. So just a little bit about myself and how I got debt free. As I was about 12 years ago. See, I've been in this house for, let me see, it's 2020. I bought it in 2009. So 12, 13, 14 years ago, I was heavily in debt. I mean, absolutely heavily in debt. It was just not even funny. We were $30,000 in consumer debt. That happened to be with medical bills. It happened to be with credit card debt. That happened to be with cars. It just happened to be with all the debt that you accumulate over the years as a consumer, and being an idiot like I am, because I was a financial idiot for a long time. I really didn't, have the grasp of paying bills and being responsible and things like that. I was kind of a knucklehead for a long time. And when you're a knucklehead, you do knucklehead things. And I got myself in some financial trouble, and it was in the form of credit card debt and actual just unsecured credit. And if you've ever had those phone calls and hiding from your door and just throwing mail away and hoping that they wouldn't catch up with you, I've had that horror story of having my wages garnished, my and my tax returns not granted to me and things like that. It's really not a comfortable thing to do, but it's one of those things that you can fix. And when I went into this probably back in 2005, 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. My credit rating, I couldn't get credit to save my life. We wanted to buy a house. We lived in a HUD development in downtown San Jose, and we were doing well. Thank God for HUD. I mean, I'm a libertarian by my political stance, but there are some social programs out there that are worth your tax money, and I think that the HUD system used the correct way without taking advantage of things is just a real boon for people to get back on their feet. And we use the HUD system actually to do this. And we had I was making good money at the time, so when we got into this HUD development, we were paying close to the market value of the place that we rented. There was other people that were there, Section 8, that didn't pay anything. There's still people there today that I was there with when we moved in 1999, and they're still there. So I mean, we were there for 9 years, and to know that there's still people there kind of concerns me. But in the same token, I use that opportunity to be able to get ahead. And when you're able to get ahead and think straight after being in so much debt, it's really a godsend. I mean, it was ordained by God, because that's what I believe. You're put in certain situations in certain lights, and I took advantage of it. But not only did I take advantage of the fact that we were in a HUD development, I also took advantage of the fact that I was introduced to Dave Ramsey, Suzy Orman, and a couple of friends of mine who were really kind of financially smart. Number one was my father-in-law. He never met a dollar that he didn't like, and he didn't want to lend a dollar, because if that dollar wasn't making money for him, he was just angry about it. But the man spoke a lot of truth, and he spoke a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom, and I thank God for him. So God rest his soul. He was a good man, and he taught me a lot about financial responsibility. But like I said, one of the main things that I want to do is I want to make sure that you get debt free. And the best way to start on it is to start today. And I'm going to give you the tools that you need to be able to get debt free. I mean, there's nothing better to feel than not having phone calls, not having letters, not having to look over your shoulder to your boss and going like, did the wage garnishment come in today? A lot of times my bosses didn't know, and then they gave me the eye, and once they started giving you the eye, they're kind of figuring out whether you're responsible enough to be in their employment and stuff. So I mean, it's not a cool situation to be in, and it's just one of those things that I would rather not ever do again. It's just a terrible thing to do, and it was hard. It was really hard. There was a lot of times where we didn't know whether we were going to have what it takes to do this. I mean, basically, my wife, kind of sat me aside and said, we need to do this, because the next time I'm moving, we're buying a house. And back in 2005, when we were heavily in debt, I just got done getting out of the hospital. I had an aneurysm, and luckily I survived. I wasn't supposed to survive, but I'm here anyway. And it's just, I listened to her, and we just said, we have to buckle down. We had to buckle down. We had to get this done. I was, like I said, we were in a HUD development, so that was a blessing. I was still employed. Actually, I had a brand new job, and they kept me on after I had my aneurysm, because I was only to work with them for a couple of months, and I had this aneurysm. I was out for 3 months, and I was still on probation when I got this aneurysm. Well, they paid me the whole time I was there. Thank God for Lewis and Wayne, my bosses. I love them to death. I owe them the world, and they just did all this stuff for me. So when I got back into work, we really put our hearts and our minds back into this. And I started listening to Dave Ramsey, and I started listening to the sad stories and some of the stuff that I'm going like, hey, geez, I'm not in so bad of a situation. So, I mean, first of all, if you think that you're in a bad financial situation, just take a listen to Dave Ramsey. I mean, he's on the radio every day on a radio station next to you, near you, or listen to Suzy Orman. I mean, some of the people that call in those shows, and you go like, oh my God. I mean, they're hundreds and thousands of dollars in debt. And believe me, some of these people are miracles. I mean, they've gotten out of, $100,000 of debt in a year. It actually took me 3-4 years to get out of the situation that we were in. And we did it because we had to do it slowly. I had a growing family. I had a special needs son who I just had a special needs son that needed attention. There was just all kinds of mitigating circumstances that slowed the process of going forward. But I mean, as brokers, rich as we were, what we did is we always found a little bit of extra just to put towards what we needed to do. And then after that fact, we just did what we called a debt snowball, and we went forward. And it was just some of the discussions that we had the first time that we started doing this, they were not easy situations. I mean, to sit down in front of your wife and put down exactly how much you owe and how much that you earn and all these things, you sit down and it makes you want to cry, because you realize that you were living a lifestyle that you couldn't pay up. I mean, I was in debt. If I would have stayed in debt, if I would have kept with my minimum payments on my debt, I would have still been paying off these credit cards, and I would have been paying them off for another 20 years. So, I mean, these companies, these credit card companies, they are not your friend. I mean, credit cards are really not your friend unless you know how to use them. I mean, they're a valuable tool. Don't get me wrong. As Dave Ramsey does not like credit cards. Suzy Orman, she's kind of in the middle road on it. Me, I love credit cards. The problem is that a lot of people use them as credit cards, as lines of credit. Me, I use them as my cash. But in the same token, I pay those things off every month. But I'm in the position to pay those things off every month. So, I'm going to take you forward on how we went. There's a lot of things that we have to cover tonight. I just want to get through them piece by piece to tell you how I got there. So first thing that I wanted to tell you is that you've got to know what you have. You've got to evaluate the money that's coming into your house, whether that money is just your job, you and your wife's job. Maybe you have a kid that's there that's paying rent. Maybe you don't. Maybe you've got a side hustle that's coming in. You sell this or that on the side, those little bits. All that money has to be taken into account. Dave Ramsey says what you want to have is a zero budget. And a zero budget means that all that cash is allocated to something every month, but a portion of that cash has to be and needs to be a part of what they call a debt snowball. And a debt snowball, if you've never heard of what a debt snowball is before, a debt snowball is where you take your money every month, and you can see on the screen, I'm going to take you full screen right here, is where, how does the debt snowball work? Well, the debt snowball method is the focus of paying your smallest debts first, which allows you to knock out your smallest debts as quickly as possible, which keeps you motivated and continue on. And as you pay off these small balances, that frees up money for you to put towards your larger debts, creating a snowball effect that your payments get bigger and bigger. This is really important. It's really, really important that once you pay off one debt, you take that money that you were paying off on that debt and you add it to the next minimum payment, so that snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you start rolling down the hill. I know I'm kind of ahead of myself here, because actually the debt snowball doesn't come into effect until after you evaluated everything that you have in your pockets and in your bank and your savings and everything, because this is getting you down to where you actually have zero money. I mean, you need an emergency fund. So that emergency fund really is first. And Dave Ramsey and Suzy Orman will always tell you that the first thing you need to do is you need to get $500 that you can access easily if you have some type of emergency. And I know that's hard to do. It's really hard to do, but you can put it away. How much stuff are you wasting every month, every week, every day? Are you going to Starbucks? Are you a smoker? Are you a drinker? Are you this? Are you that? Can you cut down and be able to save that amount of money to put it away for an emergency situation? And I don't mean an emergency situation that your buddies called you and you need to go out because they're going out to have a good time, and you're going to use that emergency money because, hey, it's an emergency, I need to go out, or I need to go on this emergency vacation or emergency pleasure thing. No, I'm talking about real emergencies, like your car breaking down. I'm talking about real emergencies like you have a medical issue that you need a copay on. I mean, I know $500 doesn't go far, but $500 is $500. And you need to get that thing going first. That's the first thing on your debt snowball. The first thing ever that you need to do, no matter how much money you have sitting down on the table and how many bills you got, you need to put something away for emergency, and emergency only, whether that be in a pack of envelopes like I showed you a couple weeks ago, or whether that be in your bank that you can get out with your ATM. The thing is that you need to get $500 first thing in an emergency fund. And, I don't care what it is. I don't care how you have to do it, but this is something that you have to do. There's no if, ands, or buts, because you never know when it's going to happen. And when it happens, boom, there goes your budget. There goes this, there goes that. It can demoralize you. It can beat you down, and it cannot be your friend. But Murphy does exist. He is around. Excuse me. He is around, and he will show his ugly head at the worst moment. And if you have that emergency fund, like you have, the first emergency fund you need, which is $500, it's going to make it a lot easier for you. And so that's where we're going with this. So anyway, so the second step is that you need to actually sit down and you need to evaluate what you got. You've got a pile of cash here, which is your income, and then you've got a pile of bills here, which is who you owe. And the way that you do that, because some people don't know how to do that. And one of the best things I ever learned from my father-in-law, God rest his soul, is that you need to come and you need to do your financials every single night. Because sometimes we go out and we're just swiping our card and we're just using our ATM all the time. We got all these receipts and stuff. We paid this bill, we paid that bill. We spent a little money here, we spent a little money there. We all got receipts for all this stuff. And what we need to do is when we need to come home and we need to document that. Every single night you need to document that. Whether you have Quicken, whether you have Microsoft Money, whether you still do it on a checkbook, I don't care what you need to do. You need to know what your balance is. You need to know what kind of money you have. And I don't care if you don't have a job, you're on disability, you're on a fixed income, you're on that. You have to know where your money is, because if you don't know where your money is, it's just going to keep burying you and burying you and burying you. And I don't know how in the world to tell you anything more than that important information. You have to know how much money you have on hand at any certain time. It's not okay anymore to be bouncing checks. It's not okay anymore to not have any money in your accounts. I mean, there's nothing left out there except for high prices and inflation, and it's just going to get worse. And I don't know how to tell you anything more other than what I'm telling you, is that you have to know where your money is. And it's a hard lesson that I learned, and me and my wife learned. I put my family through an immense amount of pain by not knowing that. So get yourself Quicken, an old copy of Quicken. I'm sure you can find it out there, or Microsoft Money. There's plenty of places like mint.com that'll go out there and they'll actually, you can manipulate the transactions. You give them access to your accounts and stuff like that. They'll be able to give you an account balance and stuff like that. There's other places out there that have software that is free that you can use to track your finances. Go see Dave Ramsey, go see Suzy Orman. I mean, that's kind of the best direction that I can give you. I'm just a show. I'm not going to be here every week talking about financial freedom and financial responsibility. This is one of the shows that I'll be doing every couple of weeks, but that's about it. So go to Dave Ramsey, go to Suzy Orman, learn what's going on. So the next step that I would like to do is I'd like to tell you that you need to start running your debt snowball. And how you do that is okay. So, you know that you take those phone calls, that you're running away from those phone calls. You're running away from those debt collectors that keep telling you that, if you don't pay this, we're going to garnish this. If you don't pay that, we're going to come pick up this. If you don't do this, you're going to go to jail. Well, what you need to do is you need to get on that phone. You need to get up and you need to tell them that, hey, look, I've got this much money and here's the deal. And you tell them the deal and you say, this is my deal. And if you don't want it, I'm going to go to my next creditor and give him the deal. And maybe he will want it, because these debt guys, you might owe $2,000 on a credit card, but these debt guys, once the debt collectors start calling you, they took that $2,000 that you owe, and they've paid pennies for that contract. Okay, so they probably paid, let's say, $200 for a $2,000 debt. Okay. So all they're interested in getting their $200 back. Once they get their $200 back, whatever's above there, that's their profit. That's what they want. So you hold the cards in this, okay? Unless they're directly into that credit company like Capital One or stuff like that. If Capital One is calling you, that's a different story. You still have to deal with them. But if a debt collector is calling you, A1 Credit, we repo your butt.com, whatever, those guys bought your debt at pennies on the dollar. All kinds of people buy debt. and that it's a really lucrative business. So you have the upper hand. You have the negotiating power to do this. So you can tell them to go pound sand and that you're going to go pay A instead of B. And what I mean by A instead of B is I'm going to get you back on here again and show you what I'm talking about is that if credit card B doesn't want to deal with you, then you go over here and go ahead over here and do credit card A. But I always want credit card A to be my lowest card. So let's say that you have 3 cards. You owe $500 on credit card A. You owe $1,000 on credit card B, and you owe $3,000 on credit card C. Okay, the first one that you want to pay off is credit card A. Now they may all be knocking down your door, okay, but the fact is that you can deal with credit card C and deal with credit card B and put them in different orders if credit card A doesn't want to work with you. Okay? You have the upper hand of this. You really, really do. Because somebody's going to bend, and it shouldn't be you. Because if you're serious about getting out of debt, this is the way that you do it. You do it on a debt snowball. So let's just say that credit card A said, okay, we're going to accept your offer of $25 a month, or we're going to accept your offer that you're going to pay off that $500 that you owe us, or $1,000 or $2,000 that you owe us all at once. Do not make a payment. Do not give them any of your credit card information. Don't give them any of your bank card information. Don't get anything else. You tell them, I want that in writing. Bring it to me in writing. Once I get it in writing, then I will sign it. I will send you a prepaid card, something like that. You never, ever give them your bank account. If at all possible, you don't try to give them as much information as they want. You just give them as much information as they need, because that's all they need. That's it. You know, they got private investigators that are very good. They'll find where you're at, where you work and stuff like that. Will they be able to get your banking information? Some of them can. But I mean, for the most part, they can't do that. Okay. So you only give them the information that they need. You never volunteer any other information that they want. Even if they ask it, you just go like, no, I'm not giving that information. You give me a piece of paper that says what we just said right now. I'm going to pay you X amount a month, or I'm going to pay you in full right now. And you send that paper off. And when I get that paper, I will give you a prepaid card that has the X amount of money on it. That card will be wrapped in the letter with a signed signature. And I keep a copy that says paid in full, and it's all legal. It is all legal. So what happens? So here's the question, Bruce. What happens if I'm only going to pay $25 a month? That's fine. Okay, so you keep paying them that $25 a month, $25 a month, $25 a month, $25 a month until that bill is paid off. Okay, once you pay credit card A off, dude, party time. Not party time. You get to go out to dinner and blow $100. Now party time. Make yourself a nice dinner and grab a bottle of wine or something. I don't care. Celebrate a little bit, but don't celebrate like extensively, like what the hell like you just won the lottery, because you haven't. But what you did is what you have is a win. You have a win. You got rid of that first part of consumer debt. So what are we going to do with that $25? Well, we're not going to spend it on anything else. What we're going to do is we're going to go to credit card B, who has a little bit more, and we're going to call credit card B, and we're going to make a deal with credit card B. And that credit card B wants $50 a month. And you said, okay, I can pay you that $50 a month. So you need to take that $25 that you were spending on credit card A and put it on top of that $50, which makes it $75 that you pay credit card B until you pay it off. You get where I'm going here? Snowball. The snowball keeps getting bigger as it's going down the hill. And you keep doing that all through every one of your credit cards, your car payment, your student loan payments, all the way up to your mortgage. All the way up to your mortgage. Now, I kind of stopped at my car payments because I have a different view about mortgages than other people do, and that's just that's just the way things are going with me as far as my debt snowball is concerned. There's a little bit of a tax advantages to having a mortgage. There's a debt disadvantage to having a mortgage. Dave Ramsey has a different aspect on it. Suzy has a different aspect. I have a different aspect. It's just the way that I choose to live. Do I owe a mortgage? Yes, I owe a mortgage, but I do not have zero. I have zero consumer debt. I owe nobody any money but the bank who owns this house. They say I own the house, but the bank actually owns the house by default. So you have to do a debt snowball. That is the first thing that we have to do. Now, you got this debt snowball going on. You've got all your creditors off your back. They're all kind of happy with you because you're paying a little bit here, you're paying a little bit there. You had to sell your brand new freaking Camaro or your Charger, whatever the popular vehicle is now, and you had to go buy yourself a $5,000 hoopty, as Dave Ramsey would say. Because a lot of those times when you're thinking that you need money, the thing is that you need to start selling. You need to start selling those things that you got. Like if you've been riding high and having jet skis and motorhomes and boats and this and that, you need to start selling those things to pay off those consumer debts that you made down the line. And that's the way that you do that. That's how you get that money. That's how you get that negotiating power. And believe me, you'll get those things back if you want them bad enough. You just don't have to do it on credit. And that's the thing. What happened to me, what the best thing that happened to me when I went to this debt snowball and I went through this with Dave Ramsey and Suzy Orman, is that I learned how to use credit. I learned how to use money. I learned how to be financially smart. And that comes up to the next item that I have on my budget, because everything has a budget. Okay. And I'm going to offer you guys a free gift tonight. I have what they call a budget worksheet, and I use this thing religiously. If I don't have this budget worksheet, I'm going to show it to you right now. If I didn't have this budget worksheet, I don't know what I would do, because it's one of those things that you have to have. It's an invaluable tool. It shows you where you need to be every month of every day, every month. And as you can see on there, what I'm going to show you now is that it has a place for you to put how much money you make. It has a place for all your bills. It has a place for the type. As you can see, I have envelopes. I do debit cards on some stuff. I do online stuff on others. It has the payee, and it also has the amount. And down here, it has a line for your total bills. This will come up once you start filling these things out. And then it'll tell you what your total income is. And at the end, it tells you what the difference is. If that difference is minus, you've got a problem. And the problem is that you've overextended yourself and you don't have enough money. And that's a problem. So what this tool will give you, it'll give you that flexibility to figure out exactly how much that you can afford, or whether you're over budgeted yourself. And you can do that. Just request it from me. Go to my email at info.inthepitofmystomach@gmail.com. I will send that to you personally. Just send me an email with all your information, on how to get back to you at info.inthepitofmystomach@gmail.com. I will be more than happy to help you out with this. In fact, I plan on becoming a coach in financial planning and financial services and stuff like this, trying to get out of debt. So just send me an email, info@inthepitofmystomach@gmail.com, and I'll give you all the info that you need and exactly this podcast, so you can have it and that you can look back on it and you can get the kind of motivation that you need to go forward with this stuff, because I'm really serious. It's something that you have to do. So as we go forward, another thing that I wanted to show you is what I showed you a couple weeks ago. If you tuned into the first or second podcast, it's called the envelope system. And the envelope system is what I use to keep my money separated from the stuff that I have in the bank, because I don't have all my money in the bank. I have my money in what they call envelopes. And envelopes are an invaluable tool. Why? Because you have things that come up with every year. Let's make a scenario here, okay? So it's October 22nd right now, okay? October 22nd. Here we are. Guess what's coming up? Well, Thanksgiving's coming up. But guess what else is coming up? And I don't care, because COVID-19, it really doesn't matter. Christmas is coming up, and people are still going to go out and they're still going to Christmas shopping. And if you're into gifts and all that other stuff, guess what you're going to do? You're going to buy gifts. And guess what you're going to buy gifts with if you don't have any money? You're going to buy gifts on credit. You're going to buy gifts on layaway. You're going to buy gifts on this and gifts on that. You're going to overextend yourself again. So the best way that I have found out to save money for a rainy day is to use these envelopes. I've got a whole bunch of them. I got an envelope for almost everything. Let me show you that spreadsheet again. See these? All these are the envelopes that I use. I use envelopes for pet supplies. I use envelopes for my insurances. I use envelopes for medical copays, dining, date night, auto repair, home repair, Christmas, property taxes, auto registration. All these things come every year. Every year they come. And every year, back when I was financially stupid, I wouldn't have the money. And I'd had to rob Peter to pay Paul. Sometimes, we didn't, I had to sacrifice groceries, or I had to sacrifice gas, or I had to sacrifice this or sacrifice that. It's not cool. So what you do is when you get that monthly budget, and I'll show you the monthly budget right here again. We're going to go back to the screen here, and I'll show you this again. Right here is where you figure out how much you need to put in your envelope. So let's do this. Let's go through an exercise here. So let's say that I make $5,000 a month. That's pretty good. I mean, let's face it. That's a good salary. But anyway, so let's just say, okay, that for fuel getting back and forth to work, realistically for me, it's about $400 a month because I work quite a ways from home. So I do $400 a month. My groceries, because I have a family of 3, are probably somewhere around $600 or $700 a month. So we'll put that in there. And as you can see, as I go through there, you can see my total bills here start adding up. $1,000, $1,100 just in fuel and groceries for my household. So that means I still have a difference of $3,900. Well, let's just say, okay, here's something that's really important. I really want to talk to you guys about this. We're going to remove this for a minute. If you got pets, if you got cats and dogs, you know that they cost money. They have to go to the vet. They have to have their shots. They have to have this. They have to have that. Shampoos, everything. Just like your kid would have. Now, they have an emergency fund. You have to have an emergency. Not only do you have to have an emergency fund for you, that $500 emergency fund, which was first for everything that I had. Okay. But once I started getting that real good emergency fund where I didn't have to have $500, now I have 4 to 6 months of savings set aside, in case I lose my job or something, I'm okay for a while. Okay. But also your pets need the emergency fund. So what happens when your pet goes out, gets inadvertently hit by a car or something like that, breaks a leg? What are you going to do? You don't have the money, right? $500 isn't going to cover it. If you put a little bit away for your pet, you also have an emergency fund for your pet. It's an invaluable thing to have, and if you can put it into your debt, or if you put it into your budget, put it in your budget. I also got let's say my pet supplies. So my pet is what I pay for a month on my pet. I put $150 in there a month. Okay. And then my insurances and stuff like that. So you get the idea. So as I start putting in these envelope numbers, let's just put in a couple of different numbers in here. 100 here. Let's say dining. So dining, here's another one. Here's another one, guys. Dining out. Okay. Don't make your budget so bad that you can't have a break every once in a while. Figure out what that's going to take. We have pizza night every Tuesday night. Do we have pizza night all the time? No, when we're running through that snowball, we didn't have a pizza night. Okay, we had a pizza night during the month. Now we have a pizza night every week. Okay, so be sensible with it. Okay, and that's all I'm saying is that if you have a dining out, then take a dining out. If you have a date night, get a date night in there. Stuff like that. So just make sure that you've got enough in there. So, I got this here. I've got dining. We have $100 in dining because we go do pizza all the time. And as you can see, as I'm filling up that, the envelope withdrawal, which I will actually put here, and I will paint it green because I haven't painted it yet. And I should paint it green. And that's what we'll do over here and paint it green. And you can see that envelope withdrawal, which you'll go out and you will withdraw that money out of your account every month to put in these envelopes, and you split it up by the amounts that you have in these areas right here. That's what you put in these envelopes right here. It's called the envelope system. If you listen to Dave Ramsey, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've had so many compliments from people, especially at the bank. The bankers are just astounded by this because, you know, they know about it. They know about financial stuff because they're bankers. You know, some of them, you know, they're sitting there all day. They deal with money all day. And when I come in once a month, they know what day I come in, and they come in, they go, "Hey, Mr. McGee, how you doing? You're here for your envelope money." You know, I told some people about that. My aunt actually does it. She has a great time. I really need to do this. And I'm going like, yeah, it's a lifesaver. It really is. Because once you get into that habit, and those are the things that become habits time after time after time. If you get into that habit of getting into putting your money away and only using it when you have to use it, you're going to find out that you're always going to have the money there. Whether that be $1, whether it be whatever it is, the envelopes are going to save you. They're going to save you big time. I'm telling you. One other thing that you have to remember is that your diet is going to change. Believe me, when you're first starting this, you have zero money. And that's what Dave Ramsey calls the 0 penny budget. You have zero. All your money is doing something. So sometimes you're going to have to do things like eat hot dogs and beans. There's some good cuisine right there, right? You're going to have to eat some top ramen. Okay. Top ramen's good. You know, we ate it a lot. And the good old bowl of spaghetti. That's what we got. I mean, we ate a lot of different things that were just you know, they're comfort foods for some people, and for some people it's just you know, I have to eat it then, you know, it's not fun. Excuse me. Let me get a little water here from Plexus. You see, everybody knows how I go for Plexus. But I'm going to tell you something. It took me a good 3 years, to get out of $30,000 in debt. Some people do it in 6 months. They just buckle down. They just eat top ramen, everything. They don't do nothing. They don't do any movies. They just pull everything out of their lives except for exactly what they need to live. And that means that they got to turn out the lights all the time to keep their electricity down, not take showers as much as they do, keep their water down, you know, buy a freaking $1,000 car to get them back and forth to work because they don't need the $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 freaking Mercedes Benz that everybody else has. You know, you got to pull yourself down to a level where you just go like, you're not embarrassed to do what you're doing, because you know at the end what you're going to have is you're going to have success and you're going to have freedom, and debt's going to be down the road, because that's what happens at the end, is that once you leave debt, you can go to success. And once you leave debt behind, you have freedom. And there's nothing better that I know to have freedom of not having that phone call at whatever time it is, because they can't call you like after 8, but they do. But those phone calls that you get at your work, at your home, at the most inopportune times, that feeling that your wages are going to be garnished at any time, it's a scary feeling. And that's what debt is a scary feeling, because you're a slave. You are a slave to other entities in your life that you shouldn't have to be slave to. When you borrow something, you become somebody's slave because they expect that to return to them. And sometimes they expect that to return and more than they borrowed to you. So it's really important for you guys to understand that not only do I want you to be well, I want your wellness to be great, because I'm into plant-based supplements and probiotics with Plexus. You can contact me about that. And that's also at info.inthepitofmystomach@gmail.com. I can deal with you with your wellness. But basically, tonight, what I'm offering you is I'm offering you the spreadsheet. I'm offering you the spreadsheet that I use every day to make sure that I'm on track. It's very easy. It works with Microsoft Excel. It dates back to Microsoft 2003, so it's compatible with everything. You can see here that I've got some months going on here. What I do with the months going on here is I make sure that when I'm filling out these envelopes right here, let me show you. So when I'm filling out these envelopes right here, what I do over here in this column is I put the date that I put all my money in these envelopes. And that way that I know it's a check for me, it's an accountability for me that I put that money away. And I'm telling you, this is an invaluable tool right here. Anything that you can put on paper, anything you can put on your computer, anything that you can train yourself to do every day, you need to do that. This is an invaluable tool right here. I'm giving it to you free. It's a gift from me because I care about your financial responsibility. I care about your financial future. I care about what's going on because we're going into some financial times that are really scary. So info.inthepitoofmystomach@gmail.com. That's where you can get this free gift from me. And that's just for watching tonight. And, like I said, it's one of those things that I'm just really passionate about because I've been there. I've been at the bottom. I've been rock bottom broke. I've been with penniless. I've been evicted. I've been kicked out. I've been everything. And now I'm a homeowner. I own cars. I own my cars. I own my own business. I get to do these podcasts. I get to give back to my community. I get to feel good when I give back to people. And that's really kind of what it is. I mean, people say that money is the root of all evil. No, money used right is great because you can share it and you can make great strides in your community and be able to help those that are in the situation that I was in. And it's like I said, I can't stress it anymore that you need to get your financial house in order, especially during these times. Bruce, what happens if I don't have a job? Bruce, I'm on unemployment. Bruce, I'm in between jobs. Bruce, I'm in here. You still have room to cut it away. And if you don't have room to cut it away, then you will have room to cut it away someday, but you got to do it. You have to do it for yourself. You have to do it for your health. You have to do it for your mind. You have to do it for your family. And if that means that you got to go push a lawnmower, you got to go, get whatever you have to get to go get something happening, that's what you got to do, man. I got an opportunity for you. If you wanted to actually get into a business for yourself, I can get you into a business right now for yourself. For $100, I can get you into a business. But don't spend that $100 if you don't have it. Make sure that you got that emergency fund first. And then make sure that you're getting that debt snowball going. But if you got $100 and you want to start a business, and I got an opportunity for you in the business, but that's another subject for another show, because if you're watching In the Pit of My Stomach, you already know what I'm into. I'm into Plexus products. I'm into health and wellness right now. And you can make money doing this. You can make money selling information. You can make money selling yourself. You've got to invest in yourself to be able to invest in other people. And once you get out of debt, you can do all those things. And it's such a great feeling. I can't even tell you how incredible it is. I mean, I've got so many people to thank. I've been talking about Dave Ramsey and Suzy Orman, like they're gods. But you know what? There have been other people in my life. My brother Jeff, all kinds of other people, Wayne and Lewis, my bosses, and Rick Weston, my old boss. Everybody who's ever given me a chance financially. Everybody who's ever understood the problems that I've had, and they've been able to give me either advice, maybe they gave me a couple of bucks on the side here or there. I appreciate every one of them, because you know what? Whether I made the correct financial choice or the wrong financial choice, the fact is that here in 2020, here I am, and I'm successful. I feel successful. My wife feels successful. We have security. We don't have that monkey on our back of debt. because financial problems are like one of the top 3 reasons why people get divorced, why people commit suicide, while people are depressed. And it is just one of those things that you really can control if you just settle down and quit drinking that Starbucks every day. Don't grab that pack of cigarettes. You don't need that beer. You don't need to go on that vacation. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do that until you can actually afford to do it. I'm serious with you guys. I'm trying to plead with you right now. Get your financial house in order. It's going to be great for you. So we're going to be running into time here. I just wanted to tell you again how happy I am that you guys tuned in tonight. And if you need any assistance with what I just gave you, because I've given you that free gift tonight, it's called my budget template. Just say, hey, budget template, give me the budget worksheet. Okay. Send me an email to info.independentmystomach@gmail.com. I will get that thing right out to you right away as soon as you give it to me. And after that, we can start a conversation, and maybe I can give you some advice on how to start your own business. Maybe I can give you some advice on your health and wellness. There's all kinds of things that we could talk about, man. I mean, I'm just so glad that you guys tuned in tonight, because it's really important for me to give back to my community, to give back to my people, to give back to everybody that knows me, my friends, my followers, and everybody out there. My name is Bruce McGee. On my webpages, my name is Bruce the Weathered Soul. And, I'm the weathered soul because I've lived a long life. I've lived a tumultuous life. I've lived a successful life. I've lived a bad life. I've lived a good life. I've lived all kinds of lives. But the fact is that I'm here, and now I'm able to help you. I got a gift. And my gift, my talent, is to go out there and care for people and help people. So next week, I've got a special show again for you. Some of you know that I'm into entrepreneurship. I'm into businesses. I'm into personal finance. I'm into health and wellness. Next week, we have Josh Forsyth from Southern California. He's got an urban farm, and he deals with quail. He deals with quail eggs. He deals with quail meat. He's got an urban farm. He's changed his whole property into a farm, and he lives right smack dab in suburbia. I got my goddaughter, Melanie Harrison, who's going to come in, and she's going to talk about her network marketing system that she uses. She's going to talk about her chef business and catering business. She is just on fire with her entrepreneurship. I love her to death. You guys are going to enjoy next Thursday's In the Pit of My Stomach. It's going to be at 7:00 next Thursday. You got to be there, because that's just the way we are. We love bringing in information. So I'm Bruce the Weathered Soul, and have a blessed week. And for best results, squeeze from the bottom up. I love you guys. Have a good day, and have a good night. Good night, guys. Goodbye.